How did I start a PT clinic before graduating PT school? This is a question that I get all the time when talking and connecting with physical therapy students, physical therapists, and strength coaches. So in this video, I decided to do a little bit of a different take. Instead of exercise or coaching knowledge, I'm going to go through some strategies. And if your goal is to open up either a cash-based clinic or your own clinic the day you graduate, then I think you'll find this valuable. But I also think you'll find this valuable if you're just trying to maximize your time during PT school. Because here's the thing, my story is my story, your story is your story. We all have different stories. I don't want to try to rewrite your story. Only you can be the one to rewrite it. But what I think I can do is provide 3 principles that I think help me get to the position where I could open up my own facility. So like I said, whether you want to be an entrepreneur or you want to work for someone, I think you can find value in this to really start to raise your standards wherever you're at in your PT school or PT career. Before we go into those principles, let me back up and tell you a little bit more about my story so you can understand me a little bit better. My first business was Functional Training Studio, and I was fortunate enough to open this up during my senior year of undergrad. And to be honest, I thought this is where I'd be for the rest of my life. I thought I just wanted to own a gym, to grow that, and kind of stay in that space. However, I started getting involved in continuing education courses and learning more about the body. And by the time I knew it, my 11, 12-hour days inside the gym actually were shifting towards being on the PT table. So I thought to myself, I should probably do something. I should probably increase my scope of practice. This is clearly something that I am passionate about and enjoy doing. So that's what sparked me to then go to PT school. However, before I went to PT school, I did decide to sell Functional Training Studio. Once I sold it, I then opened my current space, Performance Redefined, 1 month before starting PT school. So with that, I was able to have Performance Redefined throughout the 3 years of PT school, and that's what really brings us up to speed to now introduce the principles. Principle number 1, avoid tunnel vision. Let me be the first to tell you that PT school will end. I know it sounds obvious when I say that, but when you're in PT school, it feels like forever, right? Those 3 years, the days seem long, and it just seems like it's never going to end. And what I always tell people is that to change something, to change a habit, to implement something new, you first need to be aware. So we need to increase our awareness, and we do this by not getting tunnel vision. To me, a lot of physical therapy students get super tunnel vision and they only think about PT school. Now, I don't want to downplay PT school and the things you have to go through, but I do want to increase your awareness that it will end one day. And when it does, I want you to ask yourself, are you going to feel prepared or are you going to start to panic? A lot of times people panic because they go into PT school and it's more of the mindset that it's a 3-year vacation. They're only thinking about PT school. Now, that's great. Again, pass the necessary things, but know that we still need to grow in other areas of our life to be successful. So when you start to increase your awareness, you start to set your future self up for success. And that brings us to principle number 2, be resourceful. Again, once you have that awareness, now we need to start being more proactive and start taking action. We first do that by being resourceful. You can do that by finding mentors, reading books, or taking courses. Now, I find that when I tell that to PT students, a lot of times it's alarming because they have a lot on their plate and it's hard to envision adding more. But even if it's a small chunk of your time, being resourceful and starting to grow in other areas such as leadership, entrepreneurship, self-development, or even in the profession are going to set you apart for your resume. It's also going to make sure that when you graduate, you are prepared. Now, this is where I shamelessly am going to plug my Performance Redefined course because I believe it's a great resource for professional development. This is our online self-paced course where I really try to raise coaching, assessment, movement, and programming standards. So again, shameless plug, but definitely check it out if you have not. Principle number 3, respect your time. Now, time has been a component in Principle 1 and Principle 2, and it is Principle 3. In general, I want you to really start to respect your time. Like we said, PT school will end. We need to start being more resourceful, and we need to be resourceful in the time that we have. Let's face it, it does go by quick. The days do feel long, but 3 years is a good amount of time where you can start to build and grow something slowly. This is exactly why I decided to open up my own facility 1 month before PT school. This gave me the opportunity to start to build a clientele list, so when I reached graduation 3 years later, it was a smooth transition from personal trainer to physical therapist. Now, you don't have to have your own building, you don't have to have your own facility. You can work as a personal trainer, start to develop relationships, and continue to build those relationships over the course of your 3 years in PT school. And don't feel like you have to do it overnight. This is a slow process. You have a lot that you're dealing with and a lot of other priorities in PT school, but slowly continue to build these relationships, and you'll be surprised by the end of 3 years, you can have a nice list that will help you open up that facility with a good customer base. So the big picture here is I really want you to increase your awareness to set your future self up for success. Like I said in the beginning, whether you're an entrepreneur or if you have a dream job working at a certain facility, use those 3 principles to your advantage. Increase your awareness that, hey, I do need to put a little bit of effort in so I can set my future self up for success. B, start to become resourceful. Determine the necessary courses or books or connections that you need to make to either get that dream job or to start researching and understand how you can open up that business of yours. And C, use that time. Once you have those resources, let those 3 years to be a nice chunk of time where you can start to either master those skills or really build those relationships, so when it comes time when you're a licensed physical therapist, you can reach exactly what you're trying to reach.